Like you and I, a horse's physical condition changes day to day. The horse communicates that condition to you if you understand what he's saying. And you begin to understand with this free online webinar. Once you understand, you're going to win more and even more importantly, lose less. Join the free Racehorse Body Language webinar. Learn handicapping's missing link and win more and lose less. And you get instant access when you go to bodylanguagewebinar.com.
Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. The feature race at Del Mar on Friday. Race number 7, we're going 1 mile for the Tranquility Lake Stakes. It's a race, it's a card you can bet with your new DRF Bets account. Sign up at drf.com/bet and get 10 times the bonus. You bet 20, you get 200. Here's the field for the Tranquility Lake Stakes. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, now winners of a sweepstakes of $50,000 other than state bred at 1 mile or over since February the 1st, which means Vale Dory is eligible, a grade 1 stakes winner. And the question I have for you, Matt, is can Vale Dory still run anymore?
I'm of the opinion no, she can't run at all, because really it's one of those things. I feel like she probably was just pushed to the limit in those 2 starts against Stellar Wind. She ran giant races in the Beholder Mile and the Clement L. Hirsch. That was back in the middle of 2017 last year, and she was gone for such a long time, and we had talked about it, and we've said it numerous times. You don't just put good horses away unless there's something gone wrong. And I can't help but think there was a reason that she was gone until early May this year. And the 3 starts since, I think, frankly, she's been terrible. It's an instance where, you know what, any race that she's in, I'm going to try to beat her.
And sometimes these mares just don't come back after a hard campaign of racing. Last time out, she was odds-on in a restricted stakes race. I did not like that Mike Smith had the whip out coming out of the gate to try to get this horse into a forward position. It looked like she was easily going to be second best behind Uvetsi, and at the end of the day, she still couldn't hold second. If she can summon her back class, she's obviously the horse to beat. I assume Drayden Van Dyke will have her sitting off of the number 1 Mended in the early portion of this race. As we throw up the Timeform US pace projector, they agree with that assessment, but they also have the red bar, which indicates that the pace will be fast. The old Vale Dory is supposed to win this race. I'm not sure if she's not just an old Vale Dory now.
That's kind of how I'm approaching it. I don't think that she still has it in her. And you know what? I'm sure some people are going to look at it and say, even if she runs one of those 3 races that she has here in 2018, she's still good enough. I'm not convinced of that. I think there's some other talent in here. They may not be superstars, but I think there's some good informed horses.
Mended won, I think, 10 in a row for John Martin before just missing in the grade 2 La Cañada. Then Fault took her down in the Santa Margarita and the Adoration. And before Fault went to the sidelines, she was emerging as one of the better older filly and mare route horses in Southern California. Last time out, they shipped her to Prairie Meadows. I thought it was a very wise move. Get her away from the Faults and the Unique Bellas in the world, and she still couldn't get the job done, although the winner of that race, Dream Call, returned to finish second in the graded Molly Pitcher with an 85 buyer. If she gets to the lead and Vale Dory doesn't fire, she could be long gone over a track she likes.
I was going to say, she's 2 for 3 at Del Mar, and I think that's something that you can't just gloss over. I think you have really the perfect storm here. You're down on the inside, you're at a track that you like, you're at the mile distance that is really your bread and butter, and you look, she's 11 for 28, or 20 lifetime rather. I think you just send her, you go to the front, you make sure that Vale Dory is the one that's right there, because realistically, I don't think Vale Dory can run anymore. If you can get out there and she's the one that's breathing down your neck, I think you're in a pretty darn good spot.
The key to this race is the 4, Way to Versailles, first time dirt, first time in the United States. First time Peter Miller, and we've seen Peter Miller excel with these kind of horses. Way to Versailles was a little bit speed crazy early in her career, so it was nice to see that she successfully adopted rating tactics in her last 2 races, including a nice score with a big buyer speed figure in the Royal North. That being said, those races came on turf. Sprinting. Now she's going to have to run on dirt. Now she's going to have to go 2 turns, and she's 2 to 1 on the morning line. I'm not sure I want to take a horse doing something for the first time at a very short price.
No, nor do I. I don't really have much interest in her here. I am interested to see how she runs, though, because there's a part of me that wonders, that 94 buyer, a bit of an outlier. She had never buyered over 85 in her career prior to that. And I wonder if this is sort of, we're at the end of the Del Mar meeting, or we're getting toward the end. There's really no other sort of stakes race for her to run in on turf. I wonder if you take a shot here, knowing that she qualifies for this condition. And if it doesn't work, you go back to the turf when they go to Santa Anita.
Maybe she sits a great trip sitting third off the two favorites, and if those two take the starch out of one another, she's the one to take advantage. Shenandoah Queen won this race last year with a 93 Beyer speed figure, and I thought she was going to at least go on to do something, and she hasn't won since, although she was second to fault in the Adoration, finishing ahead of both Mended and Vale Doree 3 starts back. If you want to say that's the race she's going to run to, she has a chance, and you can make that argument, because her two subsequent efforts, one on turf, not her preferred surface, two against the now retired Unique Bella, not her quality of competition. Shenandoah Queen's interesting over this course in this spot.
And really, it boils down to, are you going to get one of those 93 Beyers that she's fired? Because if you do, you're looking at arguably the most likely win contender in the entire race. If you don't, you're looking at a horse that lives in the sort of mid-70 range, and that might not be enough to crack the board. So I don't know what you're going to get out of her. The good Shenandoah Queen certainly can win this race, and I'm going to kind of lean toward that simply because right now the Sadler barn is just rolling along.
Two, 'tis way, that way is overmatched perhaps on paper, but she deserves an opportunity in this race. She's won a third of her lifetime starts. She's won her last two races, and I'm sure her connections are hoping to get a little bit of black type to make her career as a broodmare.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they'd be content. I don't know that you take her all the way back, but I think she works at a mid-pack position, mid-pack kind of trip. You hope that Vale Doree can't run anymore. You hope that the other horses don't take to the surface if they're making the change, and maybe you can get a piece.
For us, the favorites have just too many questions. Can Vale Doree run anymore? Can Way to Versailles handle dirt? Is Mended going to be pushed too hard in the early portion of this race and get cooked by Vale Doree? We want prices. Let's take a look at our selections for the Tranquility Lake Stakes. You like Money Spunt, and I think Money Spunt's coming up to this race the right way. She was placed first via disqualification in the Torrey Pines at a mile last year, and in her most recent start, she's caught a speed-favoring track, an odds-on speedball winner in Anonymity, a horse that came back to run a good second in a graded race, the Rancho Bernardo.
Yeah, she came back to earn an 87 Beyer, and I just kind of feel like this is a very similar path to what she took coming into the Torrey Pines last year, where you had a sprint race. She ran pretty well, not well enough, though, and then you stretched her out in distance, and again, maybe the distance isn't really ideal for her, but I thought she ran really well in that Torrey Pines last year. She's run very well at Del Mar in the past. She's 3 for 4 in the Exacta with a couple of victories. I also like that she has a little bit of versatility. I don't think that she's going to be up there pushing the pace, but I don't think she's going to be coming from dead last. I just kind of feel like, you know what, I don't want Vale Doree. I don't really want Shenandoah Queen, although she's probably going to run well. I don't want the first-time dirt horse for Peter Miller. And Mended, I think she's the most likely winner, but she's not that appetizing to me at a 2-1 or 5-2.
I'm taking just a pure stab with the 3 Turkish Tabby. Jerry Hollendorfer does not have good numbers taking the blinkers off, but he's trying to do something to wake this one up, and I still think the jury's out as to whether she can run on the dirt or not. She's only raced 3 times on the surface previously, won her career debut going 6 furlongs. I won't fault her for that effort. Won in the Grade 1 Santa Margarita, where she was just sent on a mission out of the gate, dueling through fast fractions and paying the price. And then last time out in the Grade 2 Great Lady M Stakes, a race that didn't have a very fast pace, and she was right up there turning into the stretch, and then those good fillies like Marley's Freedom and Sky Diamonds just sprinted away from her. This is a race, I think, at a mile, she has an opportunity to sit sort of a mid-pack trip. She's been able to buy her 90s on the synth in the past, and the way Hollendorfer's been running at this meet, I'll take a stab at a price.
And I know this might not sound logical, but I think the Santa Margarita is actually the race that you want to be basing her off of, because she showed, okay, if you really go guns blazing early, she can be up there. And I think that's the only reason that she faded as badly as she did. I don't think you get a similar running style to that with the blinkers coming off. I think you sit off. I think you let Mended go. You assume Vale Doree is going to be forwardly placed. And maybe you're right there hoping that those two kind of take the starch out of one another. And it's the reverse of the Santa Margarita, where Turkish Tabby was the one that took the starch out of each other, her and Mended. I just kind of think you're going to work at a better spot in here, and you're going to be a big, big number.
Give me numbers.
You're going to go 5-1.
3, 7, 5, 4. The $75,000 Tranquility Lake Stakes at Del Mar. It is your feature race on Friday evening. You can play it with a DRF Bets account. You know the drill, 10 times the sign-up bonus when you sign up for an account at drf.com/bet. Approximate post time for the Tranquility Lake, 6:30 Pacific on Friday. Best of luck.